Hey guys, Mustang here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so this is the next part of the Extreme Super Battle Road guide, and we are talking about Super Physical today. So Super Physical is one of the ones that I think is going to be a little bit more challenging to do for like the no items run, and maybe for some people overall, even with items, depending on your box. Mainly because we don't have a really good leader. Because the 120 leader is Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, who you will notice throughout the course of this video does not get mentioned other than this, because he's a really bad unit for Super Battle Road. When it comes to Extreme Super Battle Road, his defense just does not cut it. He can do decent damage, but he's going to get hit so hard that like I wouldn't want to bring him on the team even for his leader skill. So obviously we are going to talk about the other options and we can have further discussion in the comments down below. But we're going to start off with this guy. I feel like this is a must pick for a lot of people. And even when the OG Super Battle Road came out, he was the best leader for a lot of people. Because even though we're not going to bring a lot of fusion units, he has the backup leader skill of physical types 3 key and 90%. Which honestly on Extreme Super Battle Road is not ideal because it's quite low, but the unit himself is so powerful that if you have him with a few dupes and then you manage to find like a rainbow friend, those two are pretty much going to carry the run. And of course they give you the free heal if you can stall the fight out to turn 6 and have dropped below 50% HP, and then they transform into Gogeta. You get the full heal, and then Gogeta of course just puts out an absolute ton of damage all by himself. So you're not really going to be running a fusion team, but you can run this guy as your leader and you should be able to manage at least. But then we go on to Super Saiyan Vegeta, or Transforming Vegeta. So he is a Pure Saiyans lead. So there's a lot of Pure Saiyans that you could bring on this event who are going to be very good. And so 3 key and 150% to stats for them is actually really good. And then his backup leader skill is actually better than Gogeta's as well, because it encompasses all super classes, but obviously on this stage we can only bring Super Physical, and it's 100% instead of 90%. But he is sort of in the same area as that Gotenks, where he's not the best unit for Super Battle Road, because he does raise his defense on super attack, but obviously the Super Battle Road fights are only ever going to be a couple of turns at most. So I think if you're going to bring a Pure Saiyans team and run double Transforming Vegeta leads, you're probably going to be floating him off more often than not. But for the leader skill, as we talked about in previous parts, having a leader skill as high as 150% for a lot of the good units on your team is going to be very beneficial. Then we go on to this Goku. So obviously he has his EZA on global. He is very good for Super Battle Road. Obviously he's a Pure Saiyan, so he's going to work under the Vegeta lead. But even with a lower leader skill, he's going to be really good, because he's self-sufficient, he gives himself ki, and then he has a high chance of performing a critical hit when HP is 50% or more, which is 50%. And then if your HP is less, he has a 70% chance to perform a crit. And then his super attack, regardless of your HP, has a 70% chance to stun. So stunning, as we've talked about in previous parts, and I'm sure you guys know at this point because the other Super Battle Road stages have been out for so long, stunning is very useful in Super Battle Road. Super important. Like a couple of the fights you can get along the way, there might only be 2 opponents. So if you can keep one of them stunned for almost the entire fight, as soon as you kill the other one, it just becomes incredibly easy. So this guy, if you have him, even with no dupes, I think he is a must bring just because of that 70% chance to stun. So he is going to be phenomenal in this event. And then we have the physical Beerus. Now one of the reasons why I included him here is his leader skill. I'm actually going to show one of the examples at the end, but it is possible to run a full super physical mix Exploding Rage and Realm of Gods team. And this Beerus is going to be interesting because those of you who've used him in some of the other harder events in the game, I only have him at 55%, and you do need to be hit first for him to get that 70% attack and defensive buff. And after he takes a hit, then obviously he tanks and hits a lot harder, tanks a lot better. But that first hit can do quite a bit of damage. Now, on Extreme Super Battle Road with no items active, that first hit is probably going to do, what, 70, 80k, maybe more? And then if you're really unlucky and it's a super attack, it's going to do a lot of damage. But Obviously, if you're someone who is going to be using items, which I know most people are, like, even I will probably do the runs with items first and then work on the no item runs afterwards. So with a defensive item active like a Whis or an Icarus, this guy's definitely going to be in a good position. He can take the hit and then do a ton of damage. His active skill can be used from the 4th turn when you're on HP 70% or less. So I think that is something that realistically you are going to be able to see in these Super Battle Road fights. So that could come in really useful as well, because it gives him a nice attack buff. Obviously the type effective doesn't matter because we have that already, but an extra 50% attack and defense never hurts. So he could be very, very good. Then of course we go on to this man right here. Obviously we couldn't not mention this guy. I mean, he's one of the best units in the game, let alone one of the best super physical units. So depending on the leader skill you run him under, you are going to have to be careful, because he does need to super attack a couple of times in order to tank attacks for basically no damage. So if you put him in the first slot and he's getting hit before he's had a chance to super attack, he is actually going to take damage, and probably quite a reasonable amount. And then if you're running him, say, under the double LR Gogeta leads, where he's only getting 90% from their leader skill, even after maybe if he only super attacks once, he probably is still going to take a fair bit of damage. But he is an RNG based unit. He could super attack for you 4 times, and then not only is he going to tank really well, but he could then get consistent like crit counters, and so the sheer amount of damage that he can put out is insane. Plus of course he has prepared for battle and over in a flash, so he's really good for like bridging links between characters. So he probably is a must bring. I mean, like I say, he is one of the best TURs in the game, so he's probably an auto include if you do have him. So then we go on to Super Vegeta. Now, Super Vegeta, even when he first came out, the physical one was never as good as the AGL one in terms of tanking. His damage received from normal attacks is minus 50%. So on Super Battle Road, where enemies are going to be hitting you for like 60k, then he's still going to be taking reasonable damage from those normal attacks. But he does counter. He obviously builds up his attack with each attack received. He raises allies' attack with his super attack. So he definitely has some useful things in his kit that can help out the team overall. In fact, I haven't tried building it as an example. We could do that at the end just to have a look. But you might even be able to make a full super physical Majin Buu Saga team that would actually be good. I'm sure you can make a full physical team, but just whether or not it would be good for Super Battle Road. So we'll check that out at the end. Then we have this Gohan. So you might not recognize the art. This is the support Gohan. We have the news information that we are getting the banner later on in part 1, which means him and the Super Buu will be getting their awakenings. So this is what he awakens to. He is another one of the 50% leads that is in the upper tier, especially for Super Battle Road, because he has a medium chance to stun. So even though it's only 30%, that is obviously going to be very, very useful. And then he gives the 50% buff, changes orbs to physical, and is a nuking unit himself. So if you have this guy, he is absolutely an auto include, and he will have his awakening in time for when Super Battle Road drops. So he's definitely going to be very, very good, just like all the 50% support units. So I don't really need to say much else about him. Now, Kale, this is going to be an interesting one, right? So on JP, this Kale and the AGL Caulifla got easy A's during the Kefla celebration. Now we know on Global that there's going to be a part 2 because of some of the details in the missions. We know that there are part 2 missions, but we haven't had anything officially announced about part 2. So it seems very, very likely that we're going to get this Easy A and the Caulifla Easy A as part 2. And since Extreme Super Battle Road hasn't been officially announced yet, the earliest it could drop is part 2 of this event. So we should hopefully have this. So as you can see, the way she stands now on Global, she's not a great unit for Super Battle Road at all. But as soon as she gets her Easy A, not only does she get the additional attack and quite a big attack boost, she reduces damage received by 60% for 6 turns. And then after 6 turns, she still reduces damage by 60%, but only if you get 6 or more physical orbs, which Super Battle Road, you're probably not going to go longer than 6 stages. So since we're probably counting on the fact that by the time Extreme Super Battle Road comes to Global, she will have her Easy A, I've included her in almost all of the team builds, because she is very, very good with her EZA for Super Battle Road. So definitely be on the lookout for that EZA coming out. Then we have MVP 17. One of the best units that can fit into most of the teams just under that generic slot. The reason he's so good is he lowers attack, which is really, really useful in Super Battle Road. He gives all allies 3 ki and defense 60%, which is really good. Getting that defensive buff. There are certain units like the Vegetos with the counters and everything, where just by having a unit on rotation that gives them a little bit of extra defense, it allows them to tank those normal attacks for next to nothing, because they have that damage reduction plus an inflated defensive stat thanks to MVP 17. And then of course if you drop below 77% HP, which, let's be fair, on Extreme Super Battle Road that's going to be very easy, he then also reduces damage by 40%, so can tank reasonably well. So he's very, very good. His link's not the best with a lot of the like Saiyan units on the team, but again, he provides ki with his passive, so that's not going to be an issue at all. So he's very, very good. And lowering attack can never be underrated in Super Battle Road. It's so useful. Like if you have 2 enemies and you have a stunner like that Goku, you can keep one enemy stunned, keep attack lowering the other one, and then you basically can't take damage. So very, very useful. Then we go on to LR Bardock. So I left him a little bit late in the list, which was by accident. I think he's really underrated. In the Pure Saiyans Super Battle Road on the Goku family team, he was taking like a couple of hundred, maybe a couple of thousand damage from normal attacks, which for a unit that's not specifically a tank is very good in Super Battle Road. So if you're running the double physical Vegeta leads and running a Pure Saiyans team, this guy is actually going to be really good. Plus he seals on his 18 ki super, and yet again sealing is another mechanic which in Super Battle Road is really, really good. He also gets extra defense when facing 2 or more enemies, which is probably why he tanks so well. And then when you drop down to only having 1 enemy left, he doesn't get that defense, but he gets 4 extra ki, which is obviously going to make it easier to get his 18 ki super and then seal that remaining enemy, which is obviously going to take a little bit of the danger out of the situation. So if you can run him under the right leader, I think he's going to be very good for this stage. So then we go on to this Super Saiyan 2 Goku. So him, the Tech and the AGL one all got EZAs a little while back with an Extreme Z area. And this guy's really good because he gives Super Saiyan 2 category allies extra attack, which is probably not relevant for most of this team. But he gives all other allies 3 ki and 30% defense, which is really important. Because I think it's the AGL one gives all allies attack and then only gives Super Saiyan 2 allies defense. So this guy gives everybody defense, which is really good. And then he does raise defense on super attack. So if you're lucky enough to get like double supers with this guy, he's actually not going to take a lot of damage. And of course he's a Pure Saiyan. He's also on the Buu Saga as well. So you actually probably can make a pretty decent Buu Saga team with Super Vegeta. So this guy, I think, he's not like top of the list, but he's a very good unit to include if you have him, especially if you're running that Pure Saiyans build. Then we have this Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku. We all know this guy at this point, the infinite stacker, super good in the long form events, really good in Super Battle Road, because even though you don't have a huge amount of time to stack your defense, because he changes orbs, you can potentially pick up a huge amount of physical orbs, which is going to jump his defense up to an insanely high number. Plus, of course, you get all that free healing, because you can pick up so many physical orbs with him. So he's really good. Him and the Vegeta were both super good in the Realm of Gods stage. So he's going to be very, very good for super physical. And of course, he is a Pure Saiyan. So that team looking real good. And then the last one I decided to highlight. Apparently I didn't bring up Goku and Zamasu. So let's take a quick look at them. I'm sure most of you guys know what they do at this point. But especially if you're going to run the Beerus Realm of Gods build, you're probably going to be bringing them along. Basically, the reason why they're so good is just like MVP 17. They give ki and a huge defensive buff to everybody on the rotation, but they also have a built-in 50% chance to dodge every single attack, and they seal with their super attack. So they are really, really good. Like even on some of the teams, like if you're going to run the double Vegeta Pure Saiyans lead, because he gives 100% to super types, it could still be worth bringing this guy on the team as well. Now, the one thing to bear in mind is if they don't dodge, they will take a lot of damage. So that is annoying. Plus, of course, in this version of the Super Battle Road, you're only going to be fighting extreme type enemies. So they're always going to get an extra attack buff and extra ki. So they're basically going to auto super. So they're really, really useful. And then the last unit was this Whis. Now, he is a summonable SR that actually awakens. I did rainbow him. He's very useful. He can stun. It's not a super high chance, 25%. He doesn't have the best stats, so he will take a fair bit of damage. But he's one of those units that if you start the turn 30% or below HP, once only, he will heal you all the way back to full. Plus, he does have good links with Beerus if you are going to run the physical Beerus. So he's a good, like, sort of, I say free to play, but he's like a summonable SR. So you've probably pulled him at some point if you didn't get rid of him. And I think he will be quite a useful unit for this run. So let me switch over to the in-game view and let's have a look at the teams that I built here. So this was the super physical team with the LR Gogeta leader. I did bring this Gotenks that we didn't talk about. He can seal enemies, which is really good. And then he doesn't have a lot of defense. Once he's super attacked 4 times, he'll have 120% defense, which is good. But like on that first turn, as long as he doesn't get hit first, you super attack once and then he only has 30% defense. So he definitely will take quite a bit of damage. And then we got obviously Vegeta Blue, MVP 17, Goku and Zamasu, and Gohan, obviously pre-awakening since it's not available yet. Then this is the Pure Saiyans build that I made. So Vegeta, the Stunner Goku, the Nuka Goku, Bardock, the defensive Super Saiyan 2 EZA, and then Kale, obviously pre-EZA currently. And then we have the Realm of Gods / Exploding Rage team. So Beerus, Vegeta Blue, Nuka Goku, Zamasu and Goku, that Whis for the heal, and then Kale because she's on Exploding Rage. Again, like she's just going to be so good. Like if we have her EZA by the time SBR drops, then she's going to be so good because of that damage mitigation. But let's have a quick look. If we go to Super Physical, Majin Buu Saga, I'm a little bit annoyed I forgot to make that beforehand. So you, obviously we'd bring you. This is where the problem starts to come in though, because like again, Sealer Gotenks is okay, but he's going to take a lot of damage. We didn't talk about LR Saiyaman 1 and 2. They are a free to play unit. They can seal on their 12 key super. They do give a defensive buff and key to everyone, so they actually are a decent free to play option. And then I would probably bring, I guess we could bring this Gohan support, because he is a decent support unit. I believe he gives, is it 30% or yeah, 35% attack and defense, but he will take a lot of damage. So this team could be viable, but you definitely wouldn't know items here. You'd have to use quite a lot of defensive items and some healing later on, but this team could potentially get it done as well. So that's actually 4 different team builds that we've highlighted at the end of the video here. So let me know what team you are going to bring. What did you think of the team builds? Let me know if there's any units that we didn't mention that you think we should have brought up, and we can discuss all of that in the comment section down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can follow me on Twitch or join my Discord. The link is in the description below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.